Hi, welcome back to the Crypto Dave YouTube channel. Now, for those of you who follow my videos and have been subscribed to my channel for a little while, you'll probably know that one of the coins which I have invested in and which I stake is NavCoin. And basically the way it works is it's a proof of stake coin, so you can leave the wallet unlocked for staking on your machine and it will then earn staking rewards about 5% a year. Now that's great if, like me, you have machines that are running 24/7. So I have a few machines that I'm using for GPU or CPU mining. I have other machines that are doing hard disk mining, such as Burstcoin. And if you've got a machine like that that's on all the time, it's great. You can just leave your wallet unlocked for staking and it will work. But for those of you who don't have a machine like that, one of the issues is that if you want to stake, you have to leave a machine running. Now, if you just have a desktop, that can actually work out quite expensive with electricity to leave that running all the time. So one of the alternatives with NavCoin, which is quite nice, is something called the NavPi stake box. Now you can buy this directly from NavCoin, and it's $100. It's actually out of stock at the moment, and basically what it is, it's a Raspberry Pi Model 3 that comes pre-installed with NavPi, which is a sort of online staking software. So it has a wallet, it has a web server built in and an operating system, and it's all pre-installed, so you can actually buy that for $100, and it comes sort of all labeled up, stickered up within a kind of case, and pre-installed with a SD card with NavCoin on it. But anyway, if you don't want to buy one of these, or if you have a Raspberry Pi Model 3 lying around, or because they're out of stock, you can actually create one yourself. And there's a great tutorial here on NavtechServers. I'll put all the links below for this video, but there's a great video tutorial here, which is just NavPi. We go to that. And then there's YouTube videos here basically that step you through the entire thing of how to create your own NavPi. So this is what we'll be doing today. So a few days ago I received my NavPi. I've got an SD card, and then I got a box of kind of goodies, which is kind of a case and various extras. And what we'll be doing is just running you through this tutorial. They have, as well as the YouTube tutorial, there is a written tutorial here. So if you are interested in doing this, as I said, I'll put the links below, but the first thing you need to do is download the image. So this is the operating system image that you're going to flash onto your SD card. So you can go here, so it's navcoin.org/downloads, and if we just open that in a new tab, just something to be aware of. So I downloaded this yesterday. If you scroll down, you'll see here the Raspberry Pi image. Now I would recommend you grab the torrent version. There is a direct download. It's actually through mega.nz. But what will happen, if you have an account with Mega, that's fine, download it through that. If you don't, what will happen, because it's over 8 gig the download, is you'll get about a quarter of the way through, about a third of the way through, like I did, and then it will stop the download and say, oh, you have to create an account. So the torrent file came down pretty quickly, just as quickly as the direct download. So I'd recommend grabbing the torrent file. And then so this is the first part of the tutorial. So then all you need to do is basically copy that image onto your SD card. So I am on a Mac here, so I'm on OS X. So what I did was I just formatted the SD card. So I've got it's actually a micro SD card here, which you might be able to see. So I just pop that in the adapter, pop that straight into the machine, and then I formatted it and I downloaded Etcher, which is the software they recommended, and it's very, very simple. It opens up and you just select the image you downloaded here, and you select your SD card in the middle of it, and you just press start and it copies it over, so it writes that image over. If you have Windows or Linux, there's other tutorials here that talk about it in a little bit more detail. But what I'll do now is I'll stop this bit of the video, and then I will get the camera and show you all the different little bits of hardware that we've got to put together to get going. Right, so let's have a quick glance at the hardware. So basically these are the bits and pieces you'll need to get going. So this is the SD card that it's actually a micro SD card which you need. They always come with these little SD adapters, so it makes it easy to plug into your laptop. But that's the micro SD card that will go in to the Raspberry Pi. So it's a Raspberry Pi 3 and it's the Model B, and that's the one you need. You can't run this software, I believe, on earlier versions. But this arrived last week. The box was a little bit squashed, so I'm hoping that the actual board itself is okay. So that's the board there that you can see. there's just a little safety booklet in the box. That's the only other thing in the box. So we can have a look at the board here. So you can see at one end there's 4 USB connectors and an Ethernet port. On the back here there's an HDMI, full-size HDMI port. That's a 3.5mm, I think it's a 3.5mm, might be 2.5mm, it's 2 or 3.5mm headphone port. It may well be a micro port, a dual point, I'm not quite sure. And then on the edge here we've got a micro USB, which is the power in. And then there's an additional connector here, a long connector here. I believe this is for connecting sort of cameras and other devices directly to the Raspberry Pi. And then if you flip it over on the back here, you see here, this is our micro SD slot. So we can just pop that in straight away, because we've already flashed the NavPi image onto that micro SD card, as I mentioned earlier. So we can just slot that in. It's quite neat. So that's the board. And then what I also got was this. So this is basically a little package of accessories, and it was quite cheap. I can't remember exactly what it was. I think it was about £10–15. But it has a power supply. So I'm in the UK. It's a UK power supply. It's quite nice. It's got an on-off switch with that, which is probably quite handy. And then it comes with various other bits. So there's a case. Obviously you don't want this just lying around and with the potential of things dropping on it. So there's a case here with just like a little screwdriver and some screws inside. And then we've got, so there's a little tiny fan here. I'm not sure quite whether that will be necessary, but as you can see, it's actually snapped in transit in the box there. So yeah, unfortunately one of the little blades has snapped off that. So yeah, that's a little bit of a shame. So the fan has actually kind of broken in transit. I should have opened this up and checked it over when I got it. And then here we've just got a few little heat sinks. I'm not sure whether the fan is actually kind of necessary. I can always contact the seller and let them know what's happened. But there's some little tiny heat sinks here which you can put onto the chips on the board, and that's a Broadcom chip, looks like it, the main board there. But it's a very neat little package. So what I will do now is I'll pop the heat sinks on it, and I'll screw it all together. I'll pop it in the case and screw it together, and then I will go upstairs. We'll plug in a monitor and a keyboard and mouse, and we'll get on with the next step of the installation. So here's the device all connected up. So it was quite a straightforward process really. There were just 2 heat sinks inside. There's a little green one you might just be able to see, and a silver one for the 2 chips on the top. And then on the bottom there's like a little flat copper heat sink, and they're just self-adhesive, so I just stuck those on. The only thing, if you do have this particular kit, or might be the same with a lot of cases, is it's easier to take out the micro SD card before you try and get the motherboard into the case, because it was quite tight. So I just pulled that out, you can see there, and then I'll put that back in afterwards. And then the connections here, so we can just see this is the power supply here. This is just an HDMI cable, so that's come out of my desktop PC, and I've just popped it straight in. And then we've got an Ethernet cable here, and then I'm not sure if this will work by default, so that's a wireless sort of dongle for a Logitech keyboard and mouse, which is here. So let's go ahead, we'll just switch it on and see what happens. So nothing yet. Oh, here we go. Okay, great. So it seems to be booting up. Not sure quite how long it takes, or if it has to do things on the first boot or anything, but oh, there we go. Straight into the desktop. Let's just see if the mouse, oh, fantastic. So the mouse works, and I presume the keyboard therefore will be working as well. At the top right there we can see it seems to have a network connection. So yeah, so far so good. So I'll just stop this now very quickly, and we'll start on with the configuration. Okay, so we're back to the screen grab now. So we've done this first step. So we've flashed the SD card, we've had a look at the hardware, and then I've plugged all that together, and we've had a look and booted it up, and it seems to be working. So we now need to go through the setup bits and bobs. So if we just scroll down a bit, you see that there is a default username and password set up, and then there's various bits of information here. So the first one is SSH is disabled. We don't need to set up SSH. We're actually using a screen keyboard and mouse, so we don't need to worry about that. We don't need to worry about enabling Wi-Fi either, because we're using an Ethernet connection, which will be far quicker for syncing the blockchain when we get to it. The next section I don't need to worry about. So my local IP range is 192.168. So this is already within the Apache configuration, so I don't need to worry about that. So we will have access from this machine to remote connect to it. So basically what I'm going to do is just jump through these couple of steps here. So changing the default Unix password and then creating a new SSL certificate. And then once we've done that, we just find out the IP of our NavPi, and then we can log in through this machine here, through the web browser here, and then we can look at it from that. So I will record this just very quickly on using the camera, just on the screen, and then we will jump back after that's done to the screen grab. So we're just going to change the default Unix password now, so hopefully you can see this okay. So just type in a password, and then the current one is NavPi 101. Hit enter, and then we'll do our new password and retype that. So the password's now been updated successfully. So the next thing we need to do is create a new SSL certificate. So this is just the command here. So this may take just a second or two to type it in. Right, so we're back on the screen grab now. It's actually a little bit later. I've had to pop out for dinner, but I'm back now. So hopefully the video I recorded earlier, the direct camera shots of the screen doing these steps, so that's changing the default Unix password, creating a new SSL certificate, and the next thing is find the IP. Now I didn't need to do that through this command, because I could actually just find it through my router, but what we need to do now, or what we've done now, is these next steps, which is just change the default web interface password. So by default it's nav. So now we've got the IP, we can literally just go into the IP address on our web browser, and it will initially say it doesn't think it's a genuine SSL certificate, but it's only a local certificate, so there's no worries there. So just kind of proceed there and go in. So what you need to do firstly is go into control and change UI password. So we will put in our new password here. Click change password. That's been saved. Then we need to encrypt the wallet, and we go through. I'll show you here. So that's, again, you go to control and you scroll to the button under the security section. Now I've actually just already done that. Let me just close that. I've actually just encrypted that already, and then I've actually then put in this password here. So this is how you unlock the wallet for staking. So whenever you need to reboot your NavPi or switch it off for any reason, when it first comes back on, you need to unlock the wallet for staking. So if we go to the front page, which is just the IP address, you'll see here it will tell you your wallet is unlocked for staking, click to change, and you can click that to lock the wallet or whatever. But if you go back to control, the other way to know if it's actually working is to go to get staking info, and then it should be enabled here, and if you have coins and it is staking, then 1 will appear here next to the staking. But so I did that. So I encrypted the wallet, and then I've unlocked it for staking. So by default mine seemed to be kind of unlocked. I'm not sure if it actually was, so I went through that step anyway, but it now says your wallet is unlocked for staking, click to change. So that's exactly what we see on the front page here. Your wallet is unlocked for staking, click to change. Now what I think I'm going to have to do now is leave it to sync with the blockchain. So this is a new wallet. This is the wallet address. Now what I've done is, from my old wallet, is I've just sent one nav across to this, and it seems to be have confirmed. Let me just check that. Yeah, so it's confirmed on the network here. It's had, bear with me 1 second, 26 confirmations. So that has actually processed through the network. But this and NavPi basically at the moment will be downloading the whole blockchain to the system until it kind of works. So you need to download the whole blockchain. Now, the strange thing is, within the control section, there doesn't seem to be an easy way here of seeing where you are up to with the blockchain. With the standard wallet, you see in the bottom right corner it says sync in, and you'll get like a progress report. If we click the get block number, we can see what block the network is in, but there doesn't seem to be, I haven't looked into this in detail, but there doesn't seem to be a very easy way of seeing how up to date the blockchain for this wallet is. So I think basically what I'm going to have to do is probably leave this for a few hours. What I'll probably do is leave it overnight, and then in the morning I will come back to it, check that so the available balance should be 1 in the morning. So by then the blockchain should be up to date, and we should have our 1 NavCoin over here. So what I'll do is I'll pause it for now, and then I will jump back on them in the morning, and we can check that our NavCoin has arrived, and if it has successfully, then we can send all of the nav from the old wallet over to this, and we can set it to stake. But anyway, I will be back in the morning with the next step. Hi, so it's the following morning now, and as we can see, it's been successful. So we've got 1,000 NavCoin in our wallet. What actually happened was just after I finished the video last night, about 20 minutes later, the first nav actually just showed up in this wallet. So it obviously synced a little bit quicker than I thought. So I sent another 999 over, and I left those overnight. So they are now available for staking, and they are staking, as you can see here. So estimated time to earn rewards is 5 days, 10 hours, 17 minutes, which is kind of what I would expect, because in my previous wallet where I had about 5,500, it was the average staking time was 1 day. So that seems about right. So I'm just about to send all the other coins over to this wallet now. The other thing we can do is in control. If we have a look at the get staking info, we can now see that not only is staking enabled, but we've got a 1 that nets the actual staking. So that means there's actually coins out in our wallet, and they're mature enough to stake. So when you first send coins over to any NavCoin wallet, it has to wait for a number of blocks before they're eligible for staking. I think it's somewhere in the region of 140 blocks, something like that. Might be 240 blocks, but it's somewhere within that kind of region of 100 or 2 kind of blocks before they're eligible for staking. But that should take a few hours, and as you can see here, the wallet's unlocked for staking. And if we look at the bottom here, we can see that it's got an average time to earn rewards. This is not accurate, this figure. This is just an average amount, so it can be coming a lot quicker, it can come in a lot slower. But anyway, the wallet seems to be working, the NavPi seems to be working. It's a very neat little device. There's only a couple of things I think to mention. The whole process was quite straightforward. So as I mentioned before, I followed the guide from NavtechServers, and it's a really good guide. You can either follow the written guide or the YouTube channel, or the YouTube video rather. What I would say, probably the easiest thing to do, because when I started doing some of the commands, if we just jump back to it here, I'll just show you. So some of the commands are very, very simple, and it's easy, you know, to pop them in. But then some of them, when you get to things like this, it's very easy to kind of make a mistake if you're looking at one screen and then copying it across. So what you can do, as soon as your NavPi boots up and you've connected your mouse and keyboard and you've turned it on and opened the terminal, what you can do is open the web browser. It comes with Chromium web browser installed by default. So what I would say is open this page on the actual NavPi via the Chromium web browser, and just copy and paste the commands into your terminal. That means you're not going to make any mistakes, and you'll make sure that all the commands go over okay. But it was quite a simple process. As I mentioned, there were a couple of bits that we didn't have to worry about, such as the enabling Wi-Fi. So I'm running on an Ethernet connection, and a few people have mentioned in forums and in sort of discussions about setting up a NavPi, it's far better to have it on an Ethernet connection, and it did seem to sync the blockchain very, very quickly for me. The only other thing to mention is I've got a 16 gig card, and it's large enough to run. I think the block size now is only about 1.6 gigs, so a 16 gig card is more than big enough. If you want a slightly bigger card, you could go for a 32 or 64 gig card, particularly if you were going to run other things on the same machine or you want a bit of future proofing. But the 16 gig card worked well. As I said, it's quite a simple process. So I bought the NavPi. I think altogether the whole thing probably cost me about £50, including the micro SD card and the sort of little box of extras, which was a case and power supply, and as you saw, like the little heat sinks and also the fan, which is broken. But the good news is it seems to run very, very cool. So it's not heating up or overheating at all. So unless you're doing something, you know, really demanding, I think with your Raspberry Pi, you probably don't need the fan at all. It'll probably just create extra noise. But anyway, I hope this has been useful. It's been a little bit piecemeal. I understand that I've been sort of jumping back and forth from screen grabs to videos of the hardware to a video of the actual screen. So it hasn't been ideal, but hopefully it's given you an idea about how easy it is. But as I said, if you follow the NavtechServers tutorial through to the letter, it should work fine. And good luck with your staking. So hopefully I will see you on the next video. If you like this, give it a thumbs up. Consider subscribing. I'm doing lots more videos nowadays than I did in the kind of past. So yeah, consider subscribing, and hopefully I will see you on the next video. But have a great day, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.